You are still looking at air rifles the same way you looked at them 10 years ago. Big bottle underneath, weight pulling the muzzle down, center of gravity sitting somewhere around your front hand like a brick on a stick. And you have accepted that, because that is just how air guns are built, except it is not anymore. A handful of engineers decided to do something that should have been obvious from the beginning. Wrap the air reservoir completely around the barrel itself. Concentric, coaxial, pressure on all sides, squeezing the liner into absolute rigidity. The bottle disappears, the balance shifts back, the barrel stops whipping, and suddenly you have a precision instrument that looks, handles, and shoots like nothing the airgun world has ever produced. Today we are counting down the top 7 PCP air rifles built on this coaxial barrel and tube architecture, from the most accessible budget entry points all the way up to the competition machines rewriting the rule book at 300 yards. Stay until the end, because the #1 rifle on this list is going to make every external bottle platform feel like a museum. Peace. Number 7, the Stoeger XM1 Pro. Moving on, and starting this list exactly where the industry needed to go not long ago, a coaxial air rifle with a fully regulated system, a folding chassis, and a 30 MOA scope rail was a $1,500 conversation. You either paid the premium, or you went home with a bottle hanging off the bottom of your gun. There was no middle ground. The Stoeger XM1 Pro killed that middle ground entirely. Built by Stoeger Airguns, a subsidiary of the Barra Group, the XM1 Pro puts the primary air reservoir exactly where it belongs, wrapped concentrically around a 700mm free-floating barrel. That coaxial 270cc cylinder does 2 jobs at once. It stores your air and it physically grips the barrel liner from all sides, acting as a rigid pressurized exoskeleton that kills flex before it starts. The result is a dramatically narrower fore-end profile than any traditional underbarrel tube design could ever achieve. And that narrow fore-end is not just aesthetic. It fundamentally changes how the rifle sits in your hands on a barricade or through a tight shooting lane. Here is the mechanic's insight that most buyers completely overlook on this platform. Because the coaxial design forces the mass of the air storage concentrically around the bore axis rather than suspending it below, the moment of inertia drops dramatically. In plain terms, the rifle resists rotation when you move it. Offhand target transitions feel lighter, faster, and more controlled than the numbers on the scale would ever suggest. The XM1 Pro weighs 6.6 pounds. It handles like less. The chassis backs all of this up with a fully adjustable, folding synthetic stock, length of pull, cheek piece height, shoulder pad positioning, all dialing in to fit your body and your optics simultaneously. Fold it down and the rifle collapses from 1176 millimeters to 950 millimeters for transport. The MLO-compatible forend handles bipods and accessories without complaint. Factory 30 MOA Picatinny rail sits on top, ready for serious glass. An integrated anti-cant indicator ships standard, a feature you normally pay extra for on dedicated competition builds. Street price sits between $320 and $400. Now the deal breaker. The XM1 Pro is only available in 177 and 22 caliber. That is it. No 25 cal, no 30 cal. If your goal is launching heavy lead slugs at long-range pest control or medium game, this platform physically cannot get you there. The caliber ceiling on the XM1 Pro is a hard wall, and at this price point, that is a reasonable compromise to accept. But walk in clear-eyed about what you are buying. This is a precision plinker and a target rifle. It is not a slug gun. For $350 though, you are getting coaxial architecture, a regulated system, a folding chassis, and a 30 MOA rail. That package did not exist at this price 2 years ago. The XM1 Pro did not just enter the market, it permanently moved the floor. Number 6, the Artemis M30B, also sold as Snowpeak, SPA, and Arcia depending on where you are buying it. Next up, and this one catches a lot of people off guard. Most shooters expecting a coaxial air rifle in the $500 range are mentally prepared for polymer, tactical black, and aggressive angular styling. What they are not prepared for is a sculpted European beechwood stock, clean sporter lines, and a profile that looks like it came straight out of a German hunting catalog from 1985. That contrast is exactly the point. The M30B wraps its primary air cylinder entirely around a 615mm barrel, 230 to 270 cc's of pressurized storage sitting concentrically over the bore, depending on the regional variant. The system runs fully regulated at 250 bar, with an externally adjustable regulator that has its own dedicated pressure gauge sitting at the bottom of the cylinder head. Dual gauge setup, one reading your remaining main cylinder pressure, one reading your regulated firing output, right there in front of you simultaneously. You always know exactly where you stand. No guessing. No surprises mid-string. Here is the mechanic's insight that genuinely separates this rifle from everything else at this price point, and it is built right into the architecture itself. Because the air cylinder wraps concentrically around the barrel all the way to the muzzle end, there is a pocket of internal volume at the terminal point of the cylinder surrounding the crown of the barrel. That trapped volumetric space functions as an integrated sound moderator. The expanding gas behind the projectile hits that internal chamber at the muzzle and loses energy before it ever exits the rifle. No thread-on suppressor, no aftermarket baffle stack, no legal gray area. The coaxial design suppresses the muzzle report structurally as a natural consequence of its own geometry. The M30B is genuinely backyard-friendly straight out of the box, in a way that most barrel and tube rifles on this list simply are not. The bolt action feeds from a rotary magazine, 12 rounds in 177, 10 rounds in 22, 9 rounds in 25 cal. Velocity holds steady at 1,000 feet per second across the shot string thanks to that regulated system. Street price runs right around $500. Now the deal breaker. Every coaxial rifle on this list shares an unavoidable maintenance reality, but the M30B makes you feel it more than most. Because the barrel passes directly through the pressurized air cylinder, the internal O-rings sealing the breech and muzzle ends of that cylinder are under constant, multidirectional stress from 250 bar of air pressure and the microscopic vibrations of every shot fired. When those seals eventually wear, and they will, you are not doing a simple O-ring swap on an external bottle. You are depressurizing the entire system, disassembling the coaxial structure, and navigating a maintenance procedure that demands the right specialized tools and a genuine understanding of what you are working on. For a shooter comfortable with basic PCP maintenance, this is manageable. For the buyer expecting plug-and-play simplicity at $500, it is a surprise worth knowing about up front. That said, a traditional wood stock, integrated sound moderation, a dual-gauge regulated system, and coaxial barrel rigidity for $500 is a package this market has never seen before. The M30B earns every dollar. Number 5, the Barra 250Z. Stepping up the power and into territory where the word budget stops making sense. Because the 250Z does not feel like a budget rifle. It does not look like one either. Matte tan finish, AR-style pistol grip, M-Loke handguard running the full length of that 27-inch barrel. 6-position collapsible stock with adjustable cheek piece. This rifle walks into the room looking like a precision centerfire build. And the coaxial architecture underneath backs that visual promise up completely. The 250Z wraps a massive 322cc air reservoir entirely around that 27-inch barrel. Not partially, not halfway, completely from the action all the way to the muzzle termination point. At a maximum fill pressure of 4,350 psi, that is 300 bar, the coaxial cylinder delivers over 50 foot-pounds of energy in 25 cal, pushing heavy projectiles at up to 1,000 feet per second. That is hunting territory. Real hunting territory, not backyard plinking with a budget price tag attached to it. Here is the mechanic's insight that puts the 250Z in a completely different conversation from the rifles below it on this list. Most budget coaxial platforms give you the over-barrel cylinder, and stop there. The 250Z gives you the cylinder and full external tunability on both ends of the power equation simultaneously. External regulator adjustment on one side, external hammer spring tension adjustment on the other. Those two controls work in coordination. Regulator pressure dictates the volume of air entering the valve. Hammer spring tension dictates how long the valve stays open. Dial both together and you are not just changing velocity. You are reshaping the entire efficiency curve of the rifle to match a specific projectile weight, a specific ballistic coefficient, a specific hunting application. That level of dual tunability is reserved for rifles costing 4 times as much. The 250Z ships with it from the factory. The non-choked barrel is a deliberate engineering decision worth understanding. A choked barrel squeezes the projectile slightly at the muzzle, useful for stabilizing light Diablo pellets, destructive for dense lead slugs that deform under that pinch point. By eliminating the choke entirely, Barra optimized this rifle specifically for solid lead slug performance. Feed it the right ammunition and the 250Z consistently achieves sub-M. OA groups at 100 yards when properly tuned. Cheek piece adjusts. Length of pull adjusts. The chassis is fully AR compatible. Street price runs between $430 and $490. Now the deal breaker. The 250Z has nowhere to hide its muzzle blast, because that 322cc cylinder wraps the barrel all the way to the crown. There is zero internal volumetric space for a shroud or integrated baffling system. The bare muzzle on this rifle is exceptionally loud, genuinely unfriendly for backyard use without an aftermarket moderator threaded onto the factory half-inch 20 muzzle. That moderator is an additional cost, an additional legal consideration depending on your state. Budget for it. Plan for it. Do not discover it in your backyard at 7 in the morning. And speaking of rifles that take everything the 250Z started and push it into genuinely elite territory, wait until you see what is sitting at number 1 on this list. Number 4, the Altaros M24. Stepping further up into some of the most obsessive boutique engineering on this entire list. Every rifle below this point solved the barrel and tube problem by building the reservoir around the barrel from the outside in. More volume, more air, more shots, bigger cylinder wrapping a standard liner, straightforward physics executed well. Altaros looked at that approach and went the other direction entirely. The M24 starts with an icon, the United States Army M24 sniper rifle, one of the most recognizable and respected precision platforms in military history. Altaros engineers then faced a problem that no other manufacturer on this list had to solve. How do you hide an entire high-pressure pneumatic system inside that silhouette without disturbing a single line of the original design? Their answer was miniaturization taken to its absolute limit. A 120cc air container, machined to fit entirely inside the outer barrel structure itself, not alongside the barrel, not underneath it, inside it. The pressurized cylinder and the barrel liner share the same physical space in the tightest, most aggressive interpretation of coaxial architecture on this entire list. From the odds, you are looking at an authentic M24 replica. Every dimension correct, every line preserved, the fill pin, the main cylinder pressure gauge, and the regulated output pressure gauge are all hidden completely inside a discrete cavity on the underside of the forearm. Invisible, intentional, obsessive. Here is the mechanic's insight that makes this platform genuinely remarkable. 120 cc's sounds like a fatal limitation. Every other rifle on this list runs 270 to 322 cc's of air volume. So how does the M24 generate 63 foot-pounds at the factory setting and up to 79 foot-pounds when dialed up from a reservoir less than half that size? Proximity and pressure working together. By placing the 120 cc reservoir and the regulator in absolute immediate proximity to the breech, the volume of dead air in the transfer port between the regulator and the valve is practically zero. No tortuous pathing. No pressure drop across a long delivery line. The valve opens and a massive instantaneous burst of perfectly regulated high-pressure air hits the base of a 40-grain ATP King lead slug with zero hesitation. The factory preset sits at 180 BAR of regulated output. Dial it up to 250 BAR, and the rifle pushes that slug at 938 feet per second. 79 foot-pounds of energy from a 120 cc container. That is pneumatic flow efficiency taken to its outer limits. The barrel itself is a premium Lothar Walther liner, 600 millimeters, 1 in 17.7 twist rate, optimized specifically for long, heavy lead projectiles. The bolt throws authentically, locking rigidly into the receiver on every cycle. Multi-shot magazine or single-shot adapter, depending on your application. Adjustable Picatinny rail spanning 0 to 100 MOA of elevation range for extreme long-range dialing. Street price starts at approximately $1,650 and climbs toward $2,000 for the high-power configuration. Now the deal breaker. At the factory 180 BAR setting, you get 10 shots per fill 10. The Stoeger at rank 7 gives you significantly more trigger time before you reach for the charging equipment. The Barra at rank 5 gives you significantly more. The M24 gives you 10 shots at full power, and then you are done. Drop the regulator down to 80 BAR, and the shot count climbs to 52, but your muzzle energy falls to 30 foot-pounds. At that point, you have purchased a $1,600 rifle and neutered it to hit like an entry-level spring piston. The M24 demands that you accept its terms completely, or it gives you almost nothing in return. I know the precision collectors and the law enforcement trainers in this audience will defend that shot count without hesitation. Sound off below. How many shots per fill do you actually need before a field reload becomes a non-issue for your application? Number 3, the FX King. Now we are entering serious territory. Everything below this point on the list was making a compromise somewhere. Caliber ceiling, shot count, noise, maintenance complexity, budget constraints forcing trade-offs that serious shooters eventually outgrow. The FX King does not compromise, not on power, not on balance, not on field utility, and it announces that position the moment you pick it up, because the King does not look like a competition chassis. It does not look like a tactical platform. It looks like the rifle hanging above a Norwegian hunting cabin fireplace, sculpted GRS laminate stock in Nordic wolf finish. Classic sporter lines, the kind of woodwork that makes firearm traditionalists stop mid-sentence. And then you shoulder it and immediately understand that underneath that classic exterior is one of the most sophisticated pneumatic hunting systems ever built. The FX King runs the same patented dynamic block architecture as the flagship Panthera. The over-the-barrel space on this rifle is dedicated entirely to a regulated plenum. Up to 156 cc's of pressurized air wrapped concentrically around the STX superior barrel liner. Not primary storage plenum. That distinction is everything. Here is the mechanic's insight that separates the King from every other hunting rifle on this list. In a conventional PCP, The plenum sits buried inside the action block, a small, volumetrically constrained chamber that limits how much regulated air can be staged. Directly behind the valve, the FX King removes that constraint entirely by wrapping the plenum around the barrel itself. 156 cc's of perfectly regulated air sitting in immediate proximity to the valve, ready to dump instantaneously the moment the hammer strikes. But second-order benefit is what most buyers miss completely, because that pressurized plenum sleeve physically surrounds the barrel liner with constant, unwavering tension. It acts as a fluid harmonic dampener across the entire length of the barrel. And here is the critical detail. That tension remains absolutely constant throughout the entire shot string. As the primary carbon fiber bottle depletes shot after shot, the AMP MK2 regulator maintains exact, unwavering pressure inside the barrel sleeve. The harmonics of this rifle do not shift by a fraction of a millimeter between shot 1 and shot 50. Your point of impact at 200 yards on shot 1 is your point of impact on shot 50. That level of consistency is what separates genuine hunting rifles from everything else when it counts. Primary air storage comes from a front-mounted carbon fiber bottle, available in 300cc, 480cc, or 580cc configurations, depending on your required shot count and weight preference for the field. The dynamic block breech handles projectiles up to 13 millimeters in length for the heaviest custom-cast lead slugs. Barrel kit swaps, liner, probe, shroud, and matched plenum length allow complete reconfiguration for entirely different game species without purchasing a second rifle. Depending on caliber and tuning, the King generates well over 130 foot-pounds of muzzle energy. Available calibers run from .177 all the way up to .35 cal. Street price starts at $2,150 for the synthetic stock and climbs to $2,600 for the GRS laminate. Now the deal breaker, and on a rifle at this price point, it stings a little. The FX King's modularity is genuinely impressive. But that modularity comes with a bill that keeps arriving after the initial purchase. The 300cc bottle is the base configuration, adequate for shorter sessions but limiting for extended backcountry hunts. Stepping up to the 480 or 580cc bottles is an additional purchase. Each complete barrel kit swap, the entire liner, probe, shroud, and matched plenum assembly is another significant investment on top of an already premium rifle. By the time you have configured the King for 2 or 3 different hunting applications, the total spend climbs well past the sticker price. The FX King is not a one-time purchase. It is an ecosystem you are buying into, and that ecosystem will keep asking for your wallet long after the initial transaction. For the serious hunter who shoots year-round across multiple species and scenarios, that investment pays back. For the shooter expecting a complete solution out of the box at $2,150, walk in clear-eyed. Number 2, the FX Panthera MKII. Entering the elite tier, and the conversation changes completely up here. Below this point, every rifle on this list was solving a problem. Accessibility, balance, shot count, aesthetic authenticity, power-to-price ratio. Each one found its answer and executed it well. The Panthera MKII is not solving a problem. It is chasing an absolute. The absolute maximum kinetic energy that a regulated pneumatic system can deliver to a heavy lead slug. Full stop. Everything else is secondary. And the architecture it uses to chase that absolute is unlike anything else on this list. Every rifle from rank 7 down to rank 3 uses its coaxial space for primary air storage. The reservoir wraps the barrel, stores the high-pressure air, and feeds the regulator from there. The Panthera inverts that entire philosophy. The rear-mounted 300cc carbon fiber bottle handles primary storage. The coaxial space surrounding the barrel is dedicated entirely to something far more valuable in the context of extreme slug shooting: 100 and 56 cc's of regulated plenum volume wrapped in a pressurized sleeve directly over the STX superior barrel liner. Here is the mechanic's insight that makes the Panthera MKII genuinely untouchable at this power level. In conventional PCP architecture, the plenum lives inside the action block, a small constrained chamber with hard volumetric limits. Every cubic centimeter of plenum you add requires machining more material out of the action itself, which weakens the structural integrity of the very component holding the rifle together under 300 bar of continuous stress. The Panthera removes that geometric prison entirely by wrapping the plenum concentrically around the barrel. FX created 156 cc's of staged, regulated air that sits in absolute immediate proximity to the high-power short impulse valve, with zero internal flow restriction and zero tortuous pathing between the plenum and the projectile base. The result is a system capable of pushing a 70-grain lead slug in 30 cal at 982 feet per second, generating 150 foot-pounds of muzzle energy from a pneumatic platform. 150 foot-pounds. That number belongs in a centerfire conversation, not an airgun ranking video. The MK2 iteration elevates the platform further with an all-new solid front stock design that grips the dynamic block at multiple structural anchor points simultaneously. That engineering upgrade eliminates every trace of flex between the front stock, the dynamic block, and the barrel assembly, creating a unified monolithic structure that refuses to shift under the violent recoil generated by high-mass slugs at extreme velocities. The extended 30 MOA scope rail integrates directly into the front stock, delivering rigidity and optical alignment in a single machine component. Dual WIKA gauges, one reading bottle pressure, one reading plenum pressure independently, give you complete situational awareness at all times. The 3-in-1 quick set trigger is configurable to your exact brake preference. Street price sits at approximately $2,300. Now the deal breaker, and on a rifle of this caliber, it is purely ergonomic. The Panthera MKII is built to shoot from a bench, a bipod, or a precision tripod setup. It is an uncompromising competition and long-range bench rest instrument. Pick it up offhand, swing it through a shooting lane in dense brush, or try to carry it on a backcountry walk-in hunt, and the rear carbon bottle immediately announces itself that bottle is not in the way, but it is there. It is a constant physical reminder that this rifle was designed to sit on a rest and reach out to extreme distances, not to move dynamically through field terrain. The FX King at rank 3 gives you the same dynamic block architecture, the same overbarrel plenum technology, and a GRS hunting stock that disappears into the field. The Panthera gives you 50 additional foot-pounds of maximum energy and a chassis built for absolute precision. Choose your application before you choose your rifle. The Panthera MKII takes everything this list has built toward and pushes it to the edge of what regulated pneumatics can physically produce. But there is one rifle above it, one platform that took the Panthera's plenum philosophy, the King's Field versatility, and the DRS's firearm-perfect aesthetics, and merged them into something that has no direct competition in the 2026 market. It is sitting at number 1, and it earned that position on every single metric simultaneously. Number 1, the FX DRS series, and the crown goes to Sweden. Look, by the time you reach the top of a list like this, the rifle sitting at number 1 needs to do something none of the others could. Not just do one thing better, do everything better, simultaneously, without compromise, without apology. The FX DRS does exactly that, and it does it while looking like a centerfire rifle that walked straight off a precision gunsmith's bench. Every platform below this point made a visual concession somewhere. The Panthera MKII carries a rear bottle. The Altaros M24 limits you to 10 shots at full power. The Barra 250Z announces itself at the muzzle with a report that wakes the neighborhood. The Stoeger XM1 Pro caps out at 22 caliber and leaves the slug shooter behind entirely. The FX DRS series eliminates every single one of those concessions, all of them, in one platform. The air pressure barrel system routes the barrel directly through the longitudinal axis of the air cylinder, not alongside it, not underneath it, directly through it. The pressurized outer aluminum cylinder grips the inner STX superior liner with continuous structural tension across its entire length. That tension is not a byproduct of the design, it is the design. FX engineered the APB system specifically to pre-tension the liner, transforming barrel whip from a variable into a constant, and then eliminating it. The result is extreme velocity spread so tight and standard deviations so low that competitive rimfire shooters are now actively crossing over to the DRS platform to stay relevant in NRL 22 divisions. Here is the mechanic's insight that no other rifle on this list can match. The DRS MKII introduces barrel liner swaps without degassing the reservoir. Read that again. On every other barrel and tube platform, including the Panthera, including the King, changing calibers or twist rates means completely evacuating the high-pressure air cylinder before you can access the liner. That is wasted air, wasted time, and a workflow interruption that competitive shooters feel acutely during a match day or a back-to-back hunting session. The DRS MKII solves that entirely. Swap the liner, keep the air, keep shooting. The DRS ecosystem then branches into 3 purpose-built configurations that collectively cover every serious shooting application in the 2026 market. The classic targets the traditional hunter and sporter enthusiast, Italian Manelli walnut, or red line laminate stock. Options, side lever action smoother than anything at this price point, 260 cc's of air storage at 230 BAR, and a weight profile of 4.9 to 5.2 pounds that makes the Panthera MKII feel like a bench rest anchor by comparison. It gives you the immense air efficiency of the Panthera's regulated system in a rifle you can actually carry all day. The tactical targets the operator. Front rail and action block, mechanically merged at multiple structural anchor points for chassis-level rigidity. A 53 cc tactical plenum delivering heavy payloads on demand. Modular rear carbon fiber or aluminum bottle options pushing total air volume to 760 cc's for marathon field sessions that make the Altaros M24's 10-shot limitation feel like a distant bad memory. 30 MOA Picatinny rail and ARCA integration for seamless bipod and heavy tripod mounting. The Pro targets the competitor, and this is where the DRS series does something genuinely historic. FX partnered directly with modular-driven technologies to seat the APB system inside a tailor-made adaptation of the MDT Elite competition chassis. The same chassis that professional PRS rimfire competitors trust on the national circuit, now wrapped around a pneumatic platform that hits harder, regulates tighter, and recoils less than any rimfire alternative. A 700mm superior heavy liner, a pre-installed slug power kit with high-flow probe and tungsten hammer weight, a mini high-capacity magazine sitting flush with the action, allowing scope mounting so close to the bore axis that optical alignment becomes a precision instrument in itself. A one-piece 30 MOA Picatinny rail with built-in incline, up to 73 foot-pounds and 25 cal. Street price runs from $24.64 to $28.99 depending on configuration. It gives you the shot count the Altaros M24 never could. It gives you the field balance the Panthera MKII sacrifices for bench rest, supremacy. It gives you the slug performance the Stoeger XM1 Pro was never built to deliver. It gives you the harmonic rigidity the Barra 250Z achieves and then surpasses it at every distance past 100 yards. The #1 rifle on a barrel in tube list is not just the rifle that uses the architecture best. It is the rifle that uses the architecture to become something the airgun world has never seen before. A pneumatic platform with no external bottle, no visual compromise, no caliber ceiling, no workflow limitation, and no legitimate competition at the distance where precision actually matters. That rifle is the FX DRS series, and it is not close. The barrel and tube revolution is not coming. It is already here. 7 rifles, 7 different answers to the same fundamental question. What happens when you stop hanging the air reservoir underneath the barrel and start wrapping it around the barrel instead? The Stoeger XM1 Pro proved that coaxial architecture does not require a premium budget to deliver real results. The Artemis M30B proved it does not require tactical styling to earn a place in the serious shooter's cabinet. The Barra 250Z proved that sub $500 can buy you genuine slug performance and full external tunability in a platform that looks the part. The Altaros M24 proved that miniaturization taken to its obsessive extreme can generate centerfire level ballistics from 120 cc's of air buried inside an authentic military replica. The FX King proved that over-barrel plenum technology belongs in the hunting field just as much as it belongs on the competition line. The FX Panthera MKII pushed regulated pneumatics to 150 foot-pounds and dared the industry to follow. And the FX DRS series stood at the top of all of it. Cleaner, lighter, more modular, and more capable than anything that came before it. The external bottle had a good run. It is over. Keep your air tanks full, and I will see you downrange.